Hello, this is Wmpyr here to talk about the topic from the last video, which is about shadowboxing. And really, it's about free flow versus shadowboxing. I want to talk about the difference there. And, in a nutshell, they're related, very similar, but I feel that it is important to make this separation in order to make sure that you do practice each individual element, each benefit from each method. So when we're talking about free flow, I've often said that it's like meditation in motion. You could definitely slow it down like the Tai Chi people, and you could do it, a very relaxing manner. The main emphasis there, you could just get it from the name, is free flow. So free yourself from the patterns. You could still use patterns, but the idea there is to be able to, like, once you learn the ABCs, you're making your own words, you're making your own sentences. A sentence would be like, let's say, like a combo, and words would be just like, just putting things together your own way. And so that's free flow. And as you do that, you want to be smooth. And so the free part is becoming patternless, and the flow part is to become smooth like running water. Now, in shadowboxing, it can be more of like a cardio workout where you're going to be using a lot more physicality. Your heart rate is going to go up, and you're going to be breathing a little harder afterwards. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing because from a point of view of fitness and exercise, we need that, period. As human beings, to make our lives better, we need to exercise. So it'll provide that. But then for a real life situation, I think we know that the possibilities of a real life situation getting rough and taxing on your cardio, you need to be fit to be able to survive real self-defense or real combat. So it also makes sense in that department as well. Both of these, free flow and the same with shadowboxing, have something in common, and that is technical. You could do free flow very technical and be technical, but the same thing with shadowboxing. You could do shadowboxing and also be very, very technical. So that is the common ground. Now, the technicality there can be different, can be. So with free flow, because it's kind of like, it's almost chaos in a way, and you're just getting whatever comes to mind and putting it together and just flowing with it. It's almost like improv. It doesn't matter too much whether it is tactical, practical, but with the shadowboxing, you definitely want it to be. So that's a big difference there. With the shadowboxing, I tend to kind of see that what I do is a lot simpler. And this is a good exercise. You could be learning like double arm weaving, for example, and you could learn a whole different bunch of them. You could learn Heaven 6, you could learn reverse Heaven 6, angles of attacks, Heaven and Earth, Earth 6. There's just a whole bunch that you could be combining different patterns together, and that would be your free flow. When you go to shadowboxing, you want to simplify that because at the end of the day, whether you use just one pattern or you mix patterns, if it lands on the opponent, that's all that matters. If it does what it's supposed to do. Whereas in free flow, you kind of want to break free from the pattern. So if you're mixing in a whole bunch, that's awesome. But once again, for the shadowboxing, it doesn't matter. In fact, you could just be working on, like boxers would work on like one punch, and they just doing it over and over and over again. And then they might add the second punch there, and then boom, go back to the first one, and then see how that works, you know. And then they might start adding footwork, so they start making it a little bigger and bigger and bigger, but they start very simple. And that's my whole point, is that with shadowboxing or in real life application, you want things to be simple as possible, because if it's too complex, A, you're not going to know how to use it. B, applying it can be difficult because it's complex. So simplicity is the key. And what I'm saying there is so abstract, because when you're talking about applying a technique, there could be so many facets to it. For example, when you apply a technique, there's many ways to make that technique excellent. And in a real life situation, none of that really matters as long as you pull it off. So whether the technique wasn't picture perfect, whether your physics, whether your balance, your timing, your execution, your accuracy, all those things, of course, they matter. But even if they're not perfect, as long as you pull it off, that's more important. So at times in a real life situation, being resourceful with the technique may be more important, because you might go, well, my technique may not be as sharp as my opponent, but I was able to fake them out. Or I was able to distract them with something else, and then I was able to land it. So then the technique quality, in that sense, may not need to be all that great. Now, don't get me wrong. You ask any sport athlete, they work on those simple same techniques over and over and over until they get it razor sharp. The difference between that and like free flow is more of so shadowboxing is more combat sport, and free flow is more traditional martial arts. And with traditional martial arts, you could just be working on something, and you really may not even have a specific goal, because you understand that the goals and the levels that you attain, sometimes they just come to you. You're not specific. You could be specifically working on something, but it may not be coming. It may not be happening, and then one day, boom, something just clicks, and that may or may not have anything to do with your goal. So it's more like with traditional martial arts, the way that I've tackled it and the way that it's felt to me personally is that this is a lifelong practice. It's like this endless puzzle that you're solving, and you just keep going and going, and you're crafting your craft. You're sharpening and you're just working on it. And once again, you could it kind of be like wandering around, but then as you keep doing it, it starts to kind of formulate more and more. So even though you're just aimlessly wandering around, working on some kickboxing, working on some forms, working on some fitness, working on grappling techniques, working on weapon techniques, you're just kind of doing whatever. But then, as you do all of that, it starts to kind of formulate into something. And that can take decades. It can take a very long time, maybe generations. But that's more traditional martial arts. Shadowboxing to me is more, we're going to be applying this in a month, something like that. So anyway, I hope this helps. That's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.